The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
According to preliminary estimates by Geostat, Georgia's real gross domestic product (GDP) increased by 6.6% in August 2025 compared to the same period last year. The average economic growth rate for the first 8 months of 2022 stood at 7.9%. Meanwhile, private sector turnover in August amounted to 15.3 billion in total. According to the September inflation report, Georgia's overall price level increased by 4.8% year-on-year, the highest rate since April 2023. Geostat notes that this increase was mainly driven by rising food prices, with prices in the food category up by 11.9% compared to the last year. The Ministry of Finance has submitted the first draft of the 2026 state budget to the ruling Georgian Dream Parliament for review. According to the document, next year government expenditures will increase by 2.5 billion Georgian lari, reaching a record high 30.5 billion Georgian lari. The Treasury Department of the Ministry of Finance published an operational report of the 9 months performance of the 2025 state budget. According to the document, several key tax categories fell short of plan. Profit tax underperformed by 211 million Georgian lari, value-added tax by 101 million Georgian lari, excise tax by 22, import tax by 6 million Georgian lari. However, income tax collections exceeded the plan by 71 million, while the other taxes category significantly outperformed expectations by 289 million Georgian lari. Taking these into account, the overall tax revenue plan was exceeded by 21 million Georgian lari. The National Bank of Georgia released the Balance of Payments report for Q2 2025. According to the document, Georgia's current account balance remained negative, with a deficit of $273 million, equivalent to 3% of quarterly GDP. In the same period last year, the deficit stood at $595 million. Thus, the figure improved by 4.4 percentage points year-on-year. According to BMG statistics, Georgian banks issued 32,565 new mortgage loans between January and August 2025, a 13.4% decrease compared to the same period in 2024. However, due to higher real estate prices this year, the total mortgage portfolio increased by 3.3%, reaching 2.8 billion Georgian lari. The whitelist system will not be abolished, but will become stricter, according to Minister of Infrastructure Revaz Sokhadze, who discussed the reform at meeting with construction sector representatives. The new model will take effect in 2029, and under it, the required performance guarantee for whitelist companies will gradually 60% in 2026, 70% in 2027, and 80% in 2028. The Black Sea terminal in Khulevi, owned by Azerbaijan SOCAR, is launching a new investment project to expand its operations. The project involves the construction of 4 new cylindrical steel tanks, each with a capacity of 20,000 cubic meters, thereby increasing the terminal's total fuel and oil product handling capacity by 80,000 cubic meters. Georgia's largest metallurgical company, Rustavi Steel, plans to divest its rebar production line. Company director Igor Korytko told BMG in an interview. According to him, the company's current priority is to expand seamless pipe production and increase exports.
This is The Checkpoint. I'm Elena Bachiashvili, author and the host of the show, and the Checkpoint's team is ready to sum up business and economics week for you. The German Foreign Ministry has summoned the Georgian chargé d'affaires. In a statement shared on social media, the ministry said to the German Foreign Ministry, "We conveyed a clear message. The unfounded accusations and aggressive rhetoric by Georgian authorities against the German ambassador in Tbilisi are unacceptable and must stop." Georgia is the most successful European country. I don't know any other country as successful as you are, remarked Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, speaking to Georgian journalists in Copenhagen, where the European political community meeting is on the way and where GDPM Irakli Kobakhidze is set to meet Viktor Orban. According to Orban, Georgia is politically stable and its economy is developing rapidly. We admire and are studying how you have achieved this success. Europe needs successful countries because unfortunately many of us are not successful. Economies are paralyzed and stagnant. We need countries like Georgia to join the European Union, Orban added. When asked about the fairness of Europe's approach to Georgia, Orban responded, "Brussels is definitely not the heart of fairness." The performance of Georgia's 2025 nine-month budget reveals significant shortfalls in several major taxes, despite an overall slight surplus in total tax revenue, according to the Treasury of the Ministry of Finance. Key tax shortfalls are as follows. Profit tax fell behind the plan by 211 million lari. Value-added tax underperformed by 101 million lari. Excise tax lagged by 22 million lari. Import tax missed the target by 6 million lari. Overperforming taxes are as follows. Income tax exceeded the plan by 71 million lari. Other taxes category significantly overran expectations by 289 million lari. Taking both underperformance and overperformance into account, the overall tax revenue for the 9 months exceeded the plan by 21 million lari, reflecting a marginal positive outcome despite notable shortfalls in key areas. The report underscores the challenges in mobilizing major tax streams, particularly profit and VAT, which are critical for funding government expenditures. More on the week in the economy in numbers and tendencies in our short overview.
The estimated real gross domestic product growth rate amounted to 6.6% for August 2025 compared to the previous year, and the average real GDP growth for January-August 2025 equaled 7.9%, according to the preliminary data from the National Statistics Office of Georgia. As of the document, in August 2025 compared to the same period of the previous year, the estimated real growth in the following activities contributed significantly: information and communication, financial and insurance activities, professional, scientific and technical activities, energy sector and trade. Decline were registered in construction and manufacturing sectors. To finance healthcare and social protection programs, the 2026 draft budget increased funding for the Ministry of Finance by more than 800 million lari. According to the draft, pensions will see a rise starting in 2026. Pensions for citizens aged 70 and above will increase by 45 lari, reaching 495 lari, while residents of mountainous settlements in the same age group will receive nearly 594 lari. Pensions for those under 70 will rise by 20 lari to 770 lari and to 444 lari in mountainous areas. The draft also provides for higher social assistance to people with disabilities. Monthly support for persons with disabilities under the age of 18 will rise by 45 lari, while for other categories of persons with disabilities, the increase will amount 20 lari. In total, funding for social programs is projected at 7 billion lari. Of these, over 2.1 billion lari is earmarked for healthcare, including 10% salary increase for primary healthcare staff. Additionally, 240 million lari will be directed toward housing programs for internally displaced persons. The government has already submitted the initial version of 2026 budget to the parliament. In the first 8 months of 2025, more than 5 million passengers used Georgian airports, marking a 15% increase compared to 2025. During this period, flights at all three international airports operated an average frequency of around 700 per week. In total, more than 24,000 international and domestic flights were carried out from January to August 2025, exceeding the number of flights in the same period last year by 15%. Among neighboring countries, Georgia has the most active air traffic, with Turkey last year over 1.2 million passengers traveled between the two countries, accounting for 47% of total passenger traffic with neighboring nations. On October 2, Turkish budget airline Aceh operated its first direct flight from Ankara to Tbilisi. The airline will operate 4 weekly flights on Ankara-Tbilisi-Ankara route. The rehabilitation of Vera Park, one of the oldest and most historic recreational areas in Tbilisi, has been completed, Mayor Kaladze announced at the municipal government meeting. Kaladze highlighted that the detailed design of the project was prepared with the active involvement of citizens, marking the park's renovation a best precedent for participatory planning. Vera Park has had both district and citywide significance since the early 20th century. The rehabilitation required in-depth research and careful planning with a strong focus on preserving its cultural heritage, Kaladze said. As a cultural heritage, the park was not fundamentally altered but rather revitalized and modernized. Key updates include renovated walking path fountain, resting pavilion, and drinking water fountains, new children's and sports playgrounds, dog walking area, and administrative building, complete replacement of irrigation system and installation of a new drainage system, underground placement of above-ground communications. Special attention was given to greenery. Existing trees were preserved, new seedlings planted, and grass lawns installed. With the completed rehabilitation, Tbilisi has gained a renovated multifunctional recreational zone tailored to citizens of all age interests, Kaladze said, adding that they personally inspected the site and priced the outcome. Rehabilitation works began a year ago with a total budget of 24 million lari. The Georgian Competition and Consumer Agency has published its Consumer Rights Protection Report for the first 9 months of 2025, revealing a sharp rise in complaints and violations compared to last year. Between January and September, the agency received 996 applications and handled 2,094 calls, reflecting a 55% increase in applications year-on-year. Out of these, 198 cases were investigated, resulting in the identification of 128 violations. In 106 cases, 63 traders were fined a total of 114,000 lari for failing to comply with obligations, while in 135 cases, 122 commitment agreements were signed to restore consumer rights and improve business practice. The data shows that 65% of complaints were related to online shopping, while 35% concerned in-person purchases. Tbilisi accounted for the majority of cases, 70-90%, followed by Achara 5%, Imereti 5%, Kakheti 2%, Kwemukartli 2%, and other regions. The most common consumer demands included refunds, repair or replacement of defective items. By sector, 70% of complaints came from wholesale and retail, 10% from transport and warehousing, 3% from arts, entertainment and recreation, and 17% from other areas. According to Competition Agency, the findings highlight the growing importance of online trade oversight and the need for businesses to ensure consumer protection standards are met. As of October 3, 13 fruit processing enterprises participating in Georgian state program have accepted up to 4,000 tons of substandard apples, providing farmers with over 1 million lari in income. The Ministry of Environmental Protection and Agriculture launched the program titled Supporting the Sales of Substandard Apples on October 9, 2025 to assist farmers in managing the apple harvest. How the program works: under the initiative, fruit meat processing companies purchasing 1 kilogram of substandard apple for at least 27 tetri by December 15, 2025 are eligible for state subsidies. The Rural Development Agency provides an additional 10 tetri per kilogram to processing enterprises. Substandard apples are being collected by processing enterprises in the following regions: Shida Kartli, Kwemo Kartli, Kakheti, Samtsqa Javakheti, Tsqetamtianeti, Rajaleçxumi and Kwemo Svaneti. To ensure efficient and organized collection, the ministry has established a coordination headquarters to oversee the program's operations. This initiative not only provides financial support to farmers but also helps minimize waste and integrate substandard produce into the supply chain, benefiting both producers and the broader agricultural sector.
Georgia's economy is projected to maintain steady growth in 2025, according to a new report from the Asian Development Bank, ADB. The Asian Development Outlook, September 2025, ADB's flagship annual economic publication, forecasts Georgia's gross domestic product to grow by 7% in 2025, compared to April's forecast of 6%, while it remains 5% in 2026. Growth is being driven by strong performance in services and information and communication sectors, as EDO sees, reflecting robust productivity gains in information technology alongside resilient private consumption and twofold increase in reinvested profits by foreign investors. Georgia's steady economic growth amid global risks and uncertainties is an indication of a positive outlook for the future. The ADB country director for Georgia, Leslie Bierman-Lam, said the country would benefit further from capitalizing on its strategic location and road network to attract more trade and cargo transit, while also deepening reforms to secure more stable long-term growth for its citizens, Lam added. Inflation forecasts are unchanged at 4% in 2025 and 3% in 2026, as projected in April. This is supported by lower global fuel prices, a stronger Georgian lari and prudent fiscal policy. A weakening United States dollar contributed to a 3.5% appreciation of the lari in the first half of 2025, while the fiscal deficit remained well within 3% of GDP and public debt stood at 35% of GDP. Georgia's external sector also expanded. According to the report, merchandise exports rose by 13.7% in the first half of 2025, while imports increased by 12.4%. Vehicle re-exports, a key source of foreign exchange, grew by 30.3%. However, 25% U.S. tariff on important vehicles introduced in April 2025 may raise prices for second-hand vehicles sourced from the U.S., potentially reducing Georgia's re-exports. Even so, growth in services, particularly in tourism, transport and information technology, supported by rapid technological advances, is expected to offset any future slowdown in merchandise exports, ADB believes. Tourism revenues grew at an annual rate of 3.8%, building on record high receipts in 2024, ADB says, while overall service exports expanded by 10.2%, reflecting Georgia's emerging role as a key transit route for Trans-Caspian trade and cargo movements. Higher transfers from the US and Europe helped increase remittances by 3.5%, according to ADB, in the first half of 2025, despite a 26.5% drop in transfers from Russia. FDI declined by 7.7%, mainly due to weaker investment in most sectors outside information and communication, though the share of reinvested FDI remained high at 83.6%. That's what ADB focuses on. Downside risks to growth include regional geopolitical tensions, heightened trade and financial vulnerabilities in global markets, economic fragmentation and trade sanctions, as well as slowing growth in Russia and other trade partners. In addition, persistently high global interest rates and tighter financial conditions may limit capital inflows, ADB believes. ADB has supported Georgia since 2007 and is one of the country's largest multilateral development partners. ADB's loans, grants, and technical assistance to Georgia total $5 billion. ADB's 5-year country partnership strategy with Georgia aims to help the nation develop into a green and inclusive regional gateway while supporting sovereign and private sector investments, policy reforms, capacity building, climate resilient infrastructure, and regional integration. Transparency International is deeply alarmed by the escalating persecution of civil society organizations in Georgia. In the latest thread, Giorgi, executive director of Transparency International Georgia, was summoned and questioned in connection with an ongoing investigation into alleged crimes against the state, charges that could carry a sentence of up to 15 years. Transparency International considers the accusations, which include sabotage, collusion with foreign powers, and financial crimes, unfounded, and views them as an attempt to silence one of Georgia's leading anti-corruption watchdogs. There is a real risk that interrogations will soon be followed by politically motivated prosecutions of civil society leaders, including Giorgi. Transparency International believes Transparency International Georgia has never engaged in activities that could remotely justify such claims. This is a clear case of selective justice, abuse of criminal process, and arbitrary law enforcement, TI believes. Such a step comes amid a broader crackdown on civil society. Transparency International Georgia is already under dual monitoring through the so-called Foreign Agents Law and the New Grants Law. These anti-democratic measures criminalize legitimate NGO activity and brand independent voices as foreign agents, TI believes. In recent months, the Georgian government has intensified its campaign against dissent through politically motivated prosecutions, media restrictions, freezing NGO bank accounts, and intrusive demands for internal data. In this latest wave of attacks, numerous NGOs, including Civil Society Foundation, the International Society for Fair Elections and Democracy, and others, have been targeted with frozen accounts and criminal investigations for alleged sabotage and state subversion. Many organizations are now subject to monitoring under the Foreign Agents Registration Act and the Grants Law by the Anti-Corruption Bureau. Together, these actions reflect an authoritarian strategy to weaken civil society and dismantle democratic checks on power. François Valerian, chair of Transparency International, said the persecution of Transparency International Georgia is a direct attack on democracy and the rule of law. Civil society is essential to Georgia's future, not a threat to its sovereignty. We urge the authorities to end their campaign of harassment. Georgia's commitment to democracy will be judged by how it treats those who fight for accountability and integrity. Transparency International further calls on the Georgian government to end all harassment and intimidation of civil society, uphold the right to freedom of association, expression, and fair trial, and ensure judicial independence and respect international human rights obligations. Losses in Georgia state-owned enterprises reached 527 million lari in 2024, according to the fiscal risk analysis published by the Ministry of Finance. The figure marks a modest increase compared to 2023, when total losses stood at 515 million lari, but continues to highlight the sector's heavy dependence on budget subsidies. The bulk of the deficit was concentrated in a few large SOEs. United Water Supply Company recorded the largest loss of 375 million lari. The company is in severe financial difficulty and continues to rely on state subsidies, receiving 153 million lari from the central budget in 2024 alone. Tbilisi Transport Company posted a loss of 116 million lari, also heavily dependent on public support. In 2024, it was granted 309 million lari in subsidies from Tbilisi City Hall. Georgian Amelioration reported losses of 29 million lari, despite receiving 25 million lari in central budget subsidies. Some SOEs managed to achieve positive results in 2024. State Oil and Gas Corporation, the most profitable, with 183 million lari in net profit. State Electrosystem earned 113 million lari. Georgian Railway reported a profit of 68 million lari. Despite these gains, the majority of SOEs ended the year with losses, driving the sector's total deficit to 527 million lari. GDP Mirakli Kobakidze announced on June 3, 2025, that the government is pushing forward with long-delayed SOE reforms first proposed in 2022. According to him, over 700 million lari have already been saved through optimization measures in the state enterprise sector. In August 2025, the number of persons receiving a monthly salary stood at 939,000, which was around 6% lower than in July 2025 and around 3% higher than in August 2024, according to the report published by PMC Research Center. The share of persons receiving a monthly salary up to 600 lari amounted to around 14%, which was around 2 percentage points higher than in July 2025 and around 3 points lower than in August 2024. The share of persons receiving a monthly salary of 2,400 lari or more amounted to around 33%, which was around 3 points lower than in July 2025 and 4 points higher than in August 2024. The share of persons receiving a monthly salary of 9,600 lari or more amounted to 3%, which was 0.1 points lower than in July 2025 and 0.4 points higher than in August 2024. The prosecutor's office of Georgia announced that it has filed charges against the parents of Giorgi Bachiashvili, currently serving 11-year prison sentence for embezzling cryptocurrency from Georgian Dream founder Bidina Ivanishvili, accusing them of laundering approximately $3.5 million in illicit funds. The charges stem from an ongoing investigation into the laundering of 8,987 bitcoins valued at roughly $1 billion at current market prices, which the court determined Bachiashvili had misappropriated while working as an associate of Ivanishvili. Earlier in September, prosecutors froze the assets of Bachiashvili's parents, including bank accounts and property allegedly acquired during and after the commission of the crime. According to the prosecutor's office, Bachiashvili enlisted his parents to help conceal part of the unlawfully obtained assets by channeling funds from abroad into Georgia, depositing them in their own and related accounts, commingling them with other resources, purchasing and reselling property, and ultimately transferring the proceeds back to accounts under his control. These activities allegedly facilitated the placement, layering, and integration of the funds, obscuring their origin, ownership, and circulation. Prosecutors assert that between 2017 and 2023, Bachiashvili, with his parents' assistance, laundered around $3 million and around 1 million lari, which is approximately $407,000. As a result, Marina Ramazashvili and Alexander Bachiashvili have been charged under Articles 25 of the Criminal Code relating to the laundering of particularly large sums, an offense punishable by 9 to 12 years imprisonment. On September 30, Tbilisi City Court ordered their pre-trial detention, although both are reportedly outside Georgia. Bachiashvili himself was convicted earlier this year of embezzling cryptocurrency and laundering proceeds. He was arrested in May, claiming he had been abducted abroad in an operation involving the head of the State Security Service, Andriy Okhanashvili. His arrest followed his flight from Georgia in March, citing threats to his life. In July, Bachiashvili reported being assaulted in a prison case that sparked controversy and ultimately led to the resignation of the head of the Special Penitentiary Service, Bejan Obgaidze, after authorities suggested this and that may have been staged. The money laundering case unfolds amid the ruling Georgian Dream Party's introduction of a stricter anti-corruption measures, including provisions barring individuals convicted of financial crimes from leaving the country until restitution is made and enabling the recovery of misappropriated assets from relatives of offenders. Natia Taktakishvili will tell us more about this week's business news and outlook.
The region's first outlet shopping center, Tbilisi Outlet Village, officially opened on September 26, bringing international retail to Georgia on a new scale. According to marketing director Billy Isyan, the launch will be rolled out in stages, beginning with 15 brands and expanding to 55 by December 2025. The first phase of the project includes 65 brands and 7 gastronomic centers, with 45 filled by the year-end. Once complete, outlet will
through its second phase, expanding to 120 brands and 12 gastronomic centers by 2028. Initially, the concept was geared toward premium and luxury retail with ambitions to bring global names such as Louis Vuitton, Prada, and Gucci. Isian noted that attracting such brands depends on demonstrating sufficient consumer spending power and market potential, which the first phase is designed to prove. Beyond retail, the outlet village is positioned as a tourist driver. The company is working closely with the National Tourist Administration and more than 70 inbound tour operators to make shopping tourists of central part of Tbilisi. Our goal in the first 3 years is 7 million visitors. Around 60% will come from international and neighboring countries, while 40% will be local. Together with the Tourist Administration, we want to turn Tbilisi outlet village into an additional shopping tourist opportunity for guests who are already visiting Georgia. Isian explained, with this vision, Tbilisi outlet village is set to become not just a retail hub, but a key part of Georgia's involving tourists and lifestyle offering. Last week, AgroHub opened a new branch on Chargé Street in Gdani, further expanding its store chain of healthy food market. The new location follows AgroHub's core concept of offering daily supplies of its own production of fresh, natural products, as well as meat and vegetables from the company's farms and greenhouses. We're pleased that another successful AgroHub project has been implemented. The company continues to expand, responding directly to customers' demand. The idea of opening a new branch was inspired by the active requests of residents in Gdani. Traditionally, we will offer our main line of AgroHub products while also baking fresh bread and pastries and preparing hot and cold dishes daily. In addition, customers will find leading international brands imported exactly for our chain. We also introduced new products into production by stages, said Giorgi, Bachiashvili, director of AgroHub. AgroHub currently employs about 2,600 people, with the new Gdani branch adding an additional 300 jobs. 2025 marks a milestone in AgroHub's expansion. Along with Gdani opening, the company launched a new branch on Chilada Street in Saburtalo and plans to open another location in Kutaisi in November. Bachiashvili's Education Foundation officially opened Sabado Leadership Academy in Manglisi, a new educational hub offering teenagers an innovative model of informal learning. Unlike traditional schools and universities, Sabado is built on game-based, teamwork-driven and practice-focused learning, aiming to help young people gain knowledge and life experience in a free, inspiring environment. As Giorgi, head of the academy, explained to BMG, today's rapidly changing world requires a shift away from formal education. This is an opportunity to spend quality time with peers on weekends or even during the week and learn by doing, playing and relaxing. It's a combination of knowledge, leisure and fun, Gulava said. Sabado campus is located on the land area of 12,000 square meters. The main building can accommodate over 50 students, which includes a conference hall, library, observatory, STEAM lab, work and leisure spaces, lounges, a gym, a stadium, and even the cinema. The eco-friendly campus is equipped with modern technologies and designed for comfort. Importantly, the academy's infrastructure is multifunctional, making it suitable not only for its own programs but also for hosting various organizations and events. The tourist facility Kesane Forget-Me-Not, located near Ambrolauri, has successfully completed its third summer season, recording higher activity and income compared to the previous year. Speaking on BMG TV's Women's Narrative, founder Bachiashvili emphasized that while this season brought positive growth, business in the Racha region continued to face serious obstacles such as seasonality, inflation, and accessibility issues. Unlike September or other months, we are much more active compared to the previous years. We definitely see growth in income. However, inflation, rising prices, and problems with location accessibility still
pose a serious challenge, Gurashvili explained. Despite growing awareness of the region and increasing tourist flows, Gurashvili underlined that the short tourist season significantly limits long-term business growth. Raja is only active for 2 or 3 months a year. The income earned during this short period can sustain the business, but it's impossible to develop it further, she noted. Despite the challenges, Kesane Forget-Me-Not continues to strengthen its reputation as a unique destination in Raja, showcasing the region's natural beauty while navigating the economic realistic that small tourist business faces. Tourist complex Nekresi Estate, located in the heart of Kakheti, has undergone a significant expansion, adding 15 new hotel rooms, an outdoor pool and a spa center. According to the founder of the complex, Otar Tabadadze, a total of 2.5 million lari was invested this year to improve the region's offerings. Until now, we had a small 8-room hotel. With the addition of 15 new rooms, our total capacity has grown to 23. The new rooms are available in various categories: superior, deluxe, designed to accommodate both individual travelers and groups. Alongside this, we have launched an outdoor pool and spa, further increasing the value of our facility. Tabadadze told BMG accommodation price at Nekresi Estate range from 250 lari to 390 lari per night, including breakfast. Guests also benefit from table-to-table experience, as around 80% of vegetables served are sourced directly from the complex's own garden. According to Tabadadze, the next stage of development will focus on adding a conference hall, making the complex more adaptable for business events and gatherings. Looking further ahead, a long-scale renovation is planned for 2026 with the introduction of independent residential house designed for families and large groups. The long-term vision also includes the creation of an artificial lake surrounded by walking trails, fishing areas and recreational spaces. This addition aims to make Nekresi Estate even more diverse and attractive destination for both local and international visitors. With these ongoing investments and developments, Nekresi Estate is steadily transforming into one of Kakheti's premium leisure and hospitality complexes, offering guests a blend of comfort, wellness and authentic local experiences. Ekaterini Golesiani, founder of Hotel Paliani in Svaneti, has warned that artificially reduced prices in the region's tourist market could undermine the sector's long-term sustainability. Speaking on BMG TV's program Women's Narrative, Golesiani said the tourist profit in Svaneti has shifted in recent years with an increasing number of low-spending visitors. At the same time, the number of hotels has grown significantly due to the years of state-led tourist promotion campaign, intensifying promotion among local businesses. The segment of tourists coming to Svaneti has changed. Previously, high-spending tourists came, but in recent years, the situation changed. With more hotels opening, we have had to make adjustment in the face of competition. Such a reduction in prices will have a negative impact on the sector in the long term, she explained. According to her, Svaneti has the full potential to evolve into a premium resort destination, able to compete with Switzerland or other high mountain resorts in Europe. However, she warned that artificial price reduction could cause serious harm to the local economy and regional development. This impact might not be felt immediately because people are still earning some income. However, this is temporary. In the long term, both the quality of tourists and overall revenues will decline, she noted. Golesiani stressed the need for a reasonable and sustainable pricing policy to fully unlock Svaneti's tourist potential and ensure the region's high-quality development. Some Georgian wine companies urge that national wine agencies should focus more heavily on international marketing campaigns rather than grape subsidies. Speaking on BMG TV, Irakli Bulava, director of Askaneli, stressed the need for greater state-led promotion of Georgian wine in global markets. My opinion is that the subsidies which the state has practically removed from financing wine and grapes would be better redirected towards marketing campaign to strengthen Georgians' wine promotion. We are not large enough companies to independently carry out international wine sales campaigns. These require significant resources, and while the National Wine Agency and the state are already implementing some initiatives, perhaps more should be directed in this direction, Ugulava said. According to Ugulava, redirecting funds is particularly critical now as Georgian wine sales in Russia have dropped following last year's increase in excise duties. The wine sector is large. It significantly affects the country's GDP, and it's also a social issue since many families depend on vineyards. It's very difficult to restructure the industry so quickly. We need support to compensate for reduced sales in the Russian market. Strengthening marketing efforts in Asia and European markets would be extremely beneficial if the saved funds are used for these purposes, he noted. The wine industry remains one of the Georgia's flagship sectors, not only economically but also culturally and socially. Readers engaged with BMG's news 2.8 million times in September 2025, according to Google Analytics. This marks a remarkable 44% increase compared to the same month last year. During September, the platform attracted 489,000 unique readers, representing a 14.5% year-over-year increase. The vast majority of readers, 443,000, came from Georgia, while thousands of readers also joined from abroad, including 10,000 from the USA, 4,600 from Germany, 3,400 from France, 3,300 from Italy, and 2,700 from Turkey. BMG's audience is also notable for its diversity. Data shows that 56.4% of readers are women and 43.6% are men, reflecting the agency's wide appeal across demographics. These results highlight not only BMG's growing influence in Georgia's media landscape, but also its expanding international reach as more readers around the world turn to the platform for reliable business and economic news. And that's all for today. We will meet next Sunday, but before that, stay tuned on BMG. It's worth it.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.